Video, I'm going to teach you why you overeat at night. Because of all times during the day, evening time and nighttime is the hardest for most people. Most people can do pretty well at breakfast and lunch, but then all of a sudden, evening times, that's when people give up. That's when people overeat. That's when people just say, I'm going to start tomorrow. That's when people really struggle. So I'm going to, of course, teach you why, because there's so much power in understanding why you do what you do. And then at the end of the video, of course, I'm going to teach you how to stop. And that's going to be mindset and strategy. This isn't going to be just, brush your teeth after you have dinner. Yes, that actually can be a cool strategy, but I'm going to teach you the mindset to really make permanent changes. But I love starting with why you do what you do, because oftentimes when you can learn why you do what you do, that in itself can be a catalyst for change. So I'm going to give you a few different reasons why I see this as such a problem, and maybe you'll resonate with one of them, or maybe you'll resonate with all of them. So we're going to start with the first one is more of a strategy, a little bit less mindset, but it's possible you're not eating enough during the day. I see this so often, especially in the younger generations these days. A lot of people don't eat breakfast and they don't eat a very big lunch. Maybe they have some fruit or not a very much snack. Oftentimes they're drinking a lot of coffee or the caffeine drinks during the day, and they're doing that because they don't want to eat as many calories because they want to lose weight. But then what that does is, first of all, it's not healthy for our bodies. But then what that does is you walk into the evening time starving. And you've heard, don't ever go grocery shopping when you're hungry. It's hard to make good decisions when we're hungry. We tend to just start going, forget it, and we just start throwing food into our mouth. So for that reason, I did a podcast probably about a year ago, and it was called something, it's the Modern Body, Modern Life podcast. And it was called something like, for the love of God, eat a healthy lunch. Or eat lunch, just in general, I think was the name of the podcast. And I talked about when you really eat a better lunch, you are just not only fueling your body and taking care of your body in a very healthy way, getting some good protein, some good carbs in there, but then you're not going into dinner starving. And then the second reason why that I see this as such a problem is that when you go into the evening time starving, there's a little bit of a justification. It's like, well, I can eat all this because I haven't had anything to eat all day. Especially I see this with the younger generations. And that's our primitive brain trying to give us pleasure in the moment. But oftentimes what some people can do is they can eat enough calories just in that evening that it doesn't matter that they didn't eat all day. They have gone over their calories, they're no longer in a deficit, and so they either can't lose weight, they're just maintaining, or they're continuing to gain. And it's just not healthy. It's just not healthy to go to bed with all of those calories, all that food coming in the evening. So for that reason, eat healthy during the day. That will help you make better decisions in the evening. The second reason is decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is a phenomenon that they have tested, and there's evidence to say that by the end of the day, we are tapped out in terms of making decisions, especially I feel like women, because we are women. This is a general comment, a general thought, but we aren't just going to work and making decisions at work. Even if we do work, we're making decisions at work, and then we're making decisions for our parents and for our kids. And we are, how we are doing all the things for everyone. And by the end of the day, we legit have decision fatigue. And so then it's hard to make decisions for our own health. We're like tapped out. And so for that reason, it's just one of the reasons why people overeat in the evenings. They feel like they're at max capacity. And this kind of also has to do with the third one is emotional eating. This is the biggest one. And so when people think of emotional eating, and this is how I used to think of emotional eating, I used to think of like a girl on the couch crying and like eating ice cream at the same time. I used to think of it as very dramatic, very emotional, like grief eating. But emotional eating can be just when you're having decision fatigue, you eat because you just don't want to, you want to get out of the overwhelm or the stress you've been feeling during the day. Emotional eating can be any kind of escape from any emotion. And so when we think of the negative emotions we're trying to escape from, it can be insecurity, it can be frustration, it can be overwhelm, sadness, doubt. Yes, grief can be in there, but it can be, I like to look at emotional eating in two ways. We can try to escape a negative emotion that we're already in, which happens a lot of time with decision fatigue, right? We're overwhelmed or we're frustrated, whatever, and we're feeling decision fatigue, feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and we want to eat to get out of those feelings. We want to escape from those feelings. But sometimes you might come home and you might be like, well, Courtney, I'm not. I get home from work and I'm actually happy and everything's great. How does emotional eating apply in this case? It applies in this way. If all of a sudden you get home, you're doing great, you're not, no negative emotion, when all of a sudden it gets to you eating your healthy dinner that you had planned in your mind, if you look at that and you think, this isn't any fun, I deserve to eat more fun food, this isn't fair, then what's happening is you're feeling sadness, resentment, you're feeling frustration, and eating gets you out of those feelings as well. So even though you're not feeling those feelings yet, with the thought of eating your healthy food, it's almost kind of like by eating that overeating, you're avoiding any kind of frustration or resentment towards your healthy eating. So emotional eating can be very tricky. A lot of times people have thoughts like, I feel like it's my time of day to finally focus on me. I should be able to finally put myself first. And one of the things I always say is, yes, you should finally be able to put yourself first. But is eating in a way that doesn't support your health goals putting yourself first? No. Eating in that moment is just giving yourself pleasure in the moment, and it's not helping your body, your goals, you. So many people hold it together all day in terms of maybe they're dealing with a stressful job, maybe they're dealing with a stressful relationship, maybe they're worried about money, all these different things, and they really are holding it together in front of the world all day, and then they get home and they feel like they can finally let down. And the thought of finally letting down oftentimes includes food. And when you take that food away, that's when that resentment comes in. It's not fair. And then sometimes people feel like they have less distractions. And so all of a sudden, if they've been worried about their child all day, they can kind of push that worry away. But all of a sudden, the day is finally quieted and then their mind gets going and they're now worried about their child. And then, of course, this emotional eating, you've made a habit of it, right? So it's just who you are. It's what you do. This is what you do in the evenings. And so let me dive into how to stop all of that. So if you resonated with any of those or all of them, fantastic. Here's how to stop. And so the first thing I always tell my clients is make a plan of what you're going to eat. Specifically in the mornings, make a plan of what you're going to eat that day. And if nighttime is the hardest, maybe just focus on the nighttime. What are you going to eat for dinner that night? And here's what happens when you do that. We have different areas of the brain that are in charge of different parts of our lives, if you think about it. So we have a prefrontal cortex. And in the morning, when you make a plan of what you're going to eat at dinner, your prefrontal cortex is in charge. And that part of your brain, I like to think of it as the real me, the real you. It wants what's best for us. It wants us to be healthy. It wants us to fit better in our jeans. It wants us to end the year having lost weight and heading into January feeling empowered. So when you make a plan in the morning saying, tonight I'm going to have this is going to be my dinner for tonight, you're making it with the part of you that wants you to win. The part of you that wants your true desires to manifest. And then what is going to happen is in the moment, you're not going to want to do that anymore. And you're going to get the gift of being able to get curious and be able to see the different parts of your brain. In the moment when you think, oh my God, I deserve this, or oh my God, I'm exhausted, this food is going to make things better, I can't do one more thing, that part of your brain is called your primitive brain. And your primitive brain doesn't care that you want to lose 20 pounds. Your primitive brain doesn't care that you've had a hard day. Your primitive brain doesn't care that you made a plan this morning with your prefrontal cortex. Your primitive brain's only job is to keep you happy in the moment. Your primitive brain, really, you listening to your primitive brain is the reason why you're not where you want to be in your body. And I say that with no shame, it's okay. But by you making a plan in the morning, what this is going to do is it's going to have you start really understanding your brain and being able to separate from that primitive brain and going, oh, I watched that video and now this is making sense. Because now I'm telling myself that if I don't eat this food, I'm going to hurt my husband's feelings because he made dinner. Or if I don't eat this food, it's going to go bad. Or if I don't eat this food, like this is the last chance I'm going to get for this kind of meal. Your primitive brain is going to give you all the excuses in the book. And just remember, what your primitive brain really wants for you is to be sitting on the couch, eating, scrolling, and watching TV at the same time. Your primitive brain doesn't want you to lose weight. So we need to separate yourself from that primitive brain. And so make a plan in the morning, but there's a caveat to this plan. Make it doable. So maybe you were thinking of, if you're like me a long time ago, my plan used to be, I'm going to eat perfect. I'm not going to eat any sugar. I'm not going to eat any flour. I'm not going to have dessert. But that's not doable. That's a diet. And we can only go so far in our life having none of those things. Most of us want to have a cookie once in a while. So look at the way you have been eating in the evenings, and I want you to find a eating plan for yourself that's better. So maybe you're going to eat less portions. Maybe you're going to not have the potatoes, but you're going to have everything else. Maybe you're going to have dessert, but you're going to have less. Make it doable. You're still going to want more. It's still going to be a little bit of a struggle, but I want you to make it doable. So many people believe that they have to go on a diet. They have to eat perfectly in order to lose weight, and we need to unravel that because it's not true. What I want for you is to be able to eat better the way you want to eat for the rest of your life and lose weight a little slower that way, but it's sustainable. So make a plan, make it doable, and then what's going to happen is your primitive brain is going to be hammering all these excuses at you, and you're going to be able to get curious and go, oh, there it is. There's my primitive brain. Is there an emotion I'm trying to get out of? What is that emotion? Okay? When you mess up, because you will. We've been taught in school that we don't ever want to fail. We've been taught with diets, don't ever fail. But in my program, in my world, we learn so much from our failures. So you will mess this up. And when you mess it up, instead of shaming yourself like you've done in the past, you know you wouldn't be able to do it. You always do this. You always give up. You have no self-control, right? Instead of that story, I want you to get curious and go, why did I mess up? What happened there? I want you to talk to yourself the way you would talk to your child or some younger person you love that came to you and said, I keep trying to eat healthy and I keep messing up. You wouldn't look at them and go, you're a mess. You would say, what do you think is going on? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to give yourself the gift of, hey, what do you think is going on? And I want you, is it some thoughts that are getting in the way? Is it some emotions that are getting in the way? Do you need to sit with those emotions and say, wow, yeah, I'm really worried about my child, and cry it out a little bit, process some of those emotions, journal it out a little bit? Or do you just have to create maybe a better plan in the evenings? So get curious and talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love. And the other thing I want you to do is uncover the thoughts getting in the way. Really figure out what your primitive brain is saying to you, because usually our primitive brain is very habitual. Like I told you, my primitive brain, I've told you on other videos, my primitive brain always tells me you deserve a treat. Even now, even after I'm in the body I want to be in, I feel healthy, I'm getting stronger and stronger all the time, I feel empowered, I feel confident in my body. But my primitive brain always says, you deserve a treat. Right after I'm done filming this video, my primitive brain's going to say, you deserve a treat, you're amazing. I love that it tells me I'm amazing, but it tells me I deserve a treat, which is ridiculous. I don't deserve a treat just because I'm doing my job. So are there some thoughts that are just not true? One thing you might say to yourself is, I'm exhausted. And maybe that's true, but is the food going to help? Or maybe you need to go to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe actually eating a healthier meal. If you really are exhausted, if you think you might be getting sick, maybe a healthier, smaller meal might be exactly what you need. Okay, and lastly, I want to give you some simple strategies that you can use, but make sure you use these in tandem with the mindset. So one of these strategies is brush your teeth after you eat, but that alone is not going to do it. So strategies without mindset are not going to work. Mindset is what is missing with most people's past attempts at losing weight in a sustainable way. And the mindset is make a plan, make it doable. When you mess up, get curious and uncover the thoughts getting in your way. That's the mindset. So here's some strategies you can do. Clean your kitchen after you're done eating and get out of the kitchen, and promise yourself not to go back in. If you are one of those people that says, well, I have to eat something with pills, decide ahead of time what could serve you better, right? Do you really need to eat a few scoops of peanut butter? Do you really need to eat bread or a bagel do you really need to eat something that heavy just to take your medicine? Or can you actually eat something a lot less just to take your medicine? Okay. Clean your kitchen and get out of the kitchen. Find a treat that doesn't sabotage your goals. In order for you to lose weight, you don't have to give up all sugar, but maybe we can just do better than you've been doing. So what is a treat that is a healthier option? If you go online and Google or go on Pinterest, you can find way more healthy treats. If you normally have 3 scoops of ice cream with hot fudge and nuts, how can we do better than that? Maybe it's just portions. That's a great first step. But maybe there's another way you can do better. What is another treat for you? And if you feel like at night, like you want to enjoy your evening, maybe you don't watch a lot of TV, what can you do besides eating? Maybe you can go buy yourself a new book. Maybe actually go to Barnes and Nobles and actually shop for a book and smell the book smells and buy yourself a book. And maybe you buy a new flavor of hot tea. And you decide, yes, you're going to have a small dessert, but then you're going to have hot tea. And that's going to be your treat. That's going to be your self-care. We already talked about brushing your teeth. That can be powerful. Brush and floss. Then when all of a sudden your primitive brain says, you should go eat, you're like, I already brushed my teeth. I don't want to do it again. It can stop you in your tracks. Also, don't keep food in your house. When I suggest this to a lot of my clients, they start saying, well, the food's for my husband or the food's for my kids. And when it really comes down to it, when I say, do your kids and your husband eat that food? No. So get radically honest about the food you're keeping in your house. Do you need to keep that food in your house all the time? If it's constantly calling to you from your pantry, it might not be serving you, and maybe it's time to get it out. A big one, go to bed earlier. So many of my clients want to go to bed earlier because they want to get up a little earlier and get organized and journal and meditate, do whatever they do. So stop eating earlier and go to bed earlier. If you go to bed, then you won't be in the kitchen eating. But please remember that the mindset is what makes all of these work. You need the mindset to be able to go to bed earlier. You need the mindset to not keep food in your house. You need the mindset to brush your teeth and stick to that plan. You need your mindset to find a treat that doesn't sabotage your goals. If you loved this video, I want to suggest another of my videos called The Mindset Tool That Will Change Your Life. It really dives into the mindset at a deeper level so you can really understand what it's going to take for you to get in your healthiest body ever sustainably. Thank you for watching.